Hello, my name's Beth and I'm a wedding photographer. I've been photographing weddings for over 10 years and these are my top tips to get the best out of your wedding photography. Tip number one, and probably the most important, is to find a photographer whose work you like. And once you've found someone whose work fits your kind of style, it's also really important to discover whether you get on with that person, because your photographer is going to be with you for the majority of your day, from getting ready in the morning all the way through to your first dance and your cake cutting. But they're going to be spending the most intimate parts of the day with you too. So that's your ceremony and your couple's portraits. So you really want somebody who's going to put you at ease, make you feel calm, and you want to be able to gel with their kind of direction giving too. So if you're not looking for somebody who's going to be giving you loads of formal direction or being quite bossy with your guests, you want someone who's a little bit more relaxed. There's a great way to find out whether you get on with your photographer, and that's by having an engagement shoot if that's something they offer, or if it's not part of the package, you can speak to the photographer and see if it's an additional extra. Tip number two is preparation. When your photographer comes to take photos of you getting ready, it's really important that there's an area or a space that they're working in that doesn't have a lot of things in the background that you might not want in your photographs. So if you're getting ready at home, it's really important to have an area that maybe a few weeks in advance you just start to declutter, because we're going to be posing your dress, we're going to be posing the shoes, and also in the shots where you're getting ready with your friends and family, there are things you might necessarily not want in the shots in the background. If you're getting married at a venue that has its own designated bridal suites, like the Westgate Suites, then you don't really have to worry about this, because you're going to have a clear, perfect backdrop for your photographer to work in, and you won't have to worry about doing any kind of preparation. Tip number three is permissions. Now, not everyone is aware that whoever is conducting your ceremony actually has full say over what the photographer can or can't do. And that might be where we're allowed to stand, or when we're allowed to or not allowed to take photographs. So when you're meeting with whoever's conducting your ceremony, it's really worthwhile just checking with them whether there are any specific rules or regulations when it comes to wedding photography. Also, when thinking about permission for photographs, you might want to consider having what's called a closed ceremony, which is where your guests don't take any photos or share any photos online. And what this means is that they get to enjoy the day, and you also don't have to worry about anybody getting in the way of your photographer and also sharing images online before you, as the bride and groom, have seen them. Tip number four is about choosing your formal photographs. If you would like to have formal photos done, and that's usually your bigger group shots or your family shots after the ceremony, it's worth considering talking about timings with your photographer, because we do have a limited amount of time between getting married in the ceremony and then having you sat down for your meal. It's also really important that we have enough time to do your couple's intimate portrait shoot, because those are the pictures that you're going to want in the frames and to look back on after the day. If you do have a long list of formal photos, it might be worth also thinking about spacing them out throughout the day rather than using that little bit of time after the ceremony, because you are going to also want to spend some time with your guests rather than just posing for photos all day. Tip number five is about planning for photographs. Now, it's absolutely okay to look online for inspiration and to have a Pinterest board with ideas, but when you're talking about these shots with your photographer, it's also really important to remember that not all of these photos will be replicable depending on your venue or your lighting, or whether your photographer uses lighting setups, etc. So whilst it's okay to have these discussions, it is also really important that you trust your photographer, because this is their job, this is what they do, and they will absolutely want to get the best shots for your wedding day. That's all from me, so I hope that's been helpful. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have the most wonderful wedding day.